Good evening, televiewers. You welcome to tonight's edition of Prime Hour on my Media Prime TV, an edition that is going to be looking at an article carried by the Guardian Post newspaper that reads, as country in coma, hot files Biya should handle to resurrect the nation. This caption actually caught our attention and brought us to look at the article. And this evening we're going to be looking at that article and the points that, according to the Guardian Post, the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya, should address urgently. It's true we discussed something similar to it, but I'm sure the Guardian Post is going more detailed. We are discussing on this with my panelists who are in the house with me. We have Dr. Ako John Ako, who is a core member of Cameroon's civil society. He's also a lecturer with some universities in Cameroon. Good evening, Doctor. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine, Mr. Kum Leonard, and again to all the viewers of my media Prime Television. Once more, we are in Cameroon and talking issues that affects the nation. People have been gesticulating that the resurrection of President Paul Biya is hoping to bring more of enthusiasm and again energy to his people. But then the revelations and what is coming out is that a lot of Cameroonians are still desperate for over a week or so, holding the return of the president. A lot of things are still unmanaged. And many are doubting if Cameroon is really governed or is controlled by the forces of nature. Many have equally concluded that the forces of nature in Cameroon are really yielding fruits in favor of the ruling party. 42 years after, 6 November, in few days, what shall Cameroonians be celebrating? A dilapidating nation that is in a situation that wasn't in the past. No pipe-borne water, roads, infrastructure, magistrate for over the past 6-7 years unpromoted, and again, presidential meetings or ministerial coordination meetings held once in a blue moon. Is this governance? Is this transparency? To whom do we account or hold liable for lapses in Cameroon? The energy sector is equally bleeding. The hospitals are not better off, and again, rigor and moralization. What we say is the firmness and the principle of the New Deal government has never been eagerly implemented to the satisfaction of many Cameroonians. Some people equally think that governance, opposition, and positioning are belonging to a few. Tribalism has taken its course, nepotism, and many other ills. Then the coming of the Messiah, 2025, Cameroonians are called over to make a better choice. A lot, obviously, will change in 2025.
Okay. We also are in the company of Mukage, Prince Joel. I'll sit digesting the introduction. Good evening, Prince Joel. We are glad to have you.
Good evening to you, Mr. Liu, and of course, good evening to Dr. Ako, John Ako, and of course, good evening to all the million televiewers of my Media Prime Television. A wonderful topic you have on board today, and congratulations to the Guardian Post and to the managing editor, Do Bertrand Noir, who is a cosmate, and to Moi Patrick, who are doing a wonderful job. The job they do there is not easy because it takes a lot of investigations. It takes a lot of resources, because when I went through the topic that you sent, I saw that it is time that some GMs who are already on retirement, who are still in office, should go on retirement. And it takes investigation, and I think they even have figures like 189 administrators, something like that, who are still in office, whereas they are supposed to. So I think that we should first of all give an appreciation to the Guardian Post, because it takes work, and like Dr. Ako John Ako said, President Paul Biya spent lots of days out of the country, and there's a video that is making rounds online, Mr. Leo, coming from one of the popular Nigerian actors, Kanayo says that when Tinubu makes 2 days out of the country, people ask for his whereabouts. But there's a neighboring country where even the president spends 40 days and plus is forbidden to demand. Cameroonians have the right. I was sitting with a very good friend, Barrister Tamford Richard, and I asked him that according to the law, does the law empower Cameroonians to ask about their president? He said yes. So It's a wonderful topic. The president is back and he has a lot of files in front of him. We are waiting for appointments, and from every findings, the president came back and took his direction directly to his homeland, Vomeka. Yet the very day that the president came back, the next day, appointments were made in the military, and like Dr. Ako said, many a time you start asking who is really ruling this country.
Okay, we are also expecting the arrival of a representative of the CPDM party who is supposed to be part of tonight's edition, as well as Edmond Kwate, an economist who should be on his way to the studio. Dr. Ako, John Ako, we're talking about the hot files, but when the Guardian Post, though they put it in quotes, COMA, do you see Cameroon in a state of coma?
I believe the word coma is even more better to describe Cameroon now. The Guardian Post was too soft. In fact, some of us are thinking that the country is even dead. Gone more than...
Yes. You are alive.
Yeah, we are talking of the country, not Cameroon. Cameroon is in coma, but we are not in coma. Which means that somewhere, Cameroonians as such are trying. Like I said in my opening, it's either we are living by our energy or at the mercy of God. And so we believe very strongly that the nation, which we call Cameroon, if you see the tussle this week, is between ministries. And we tells you that, and somebody is giving an accountability of him being in a position for over 16 years, 16 years in a ministerial position, meaning your mandate is even above that of the President of the Republic. The law provides for 7 years renewable, meaning every 7 years we renew the mandate of the President of the Republic. But ministers are in the same position for 20 years. For these 20 years, in the same ministerial department, you ask, some of them are not even seen. Cameroonians don't even know who maybe is the Minister of Tourism, who maybe is the Minister of Arts and Culture, who maybe is a minister of small and medium-sized enterprises. Correct. But the guys are living quietly in one corner, sucking the budget of the state. As they drafted this year, next month will be the budget for 2025. How are we going? What have we done? What are we expected to do? What has been done? What is still left to be done? This is what a lot of Cameroonians don't even know. And if you go to such a state where we cannot even ask questions, information given by one department is refuted or refused by another department in the same government. I just take, for example, when the President of the Republic was overdue abroad, we have more than 3 communiques in a government that is alive. Tell me, it means that in governance, we don't know who is right to communicate on the state of the whereabouts of the President of the Republic, or what information should come out right. When you have A giving information, the other one giving, it is simply tell you that the medical doctors that are in charge of the wielding nature of the state don't even have the information about the same person. And again, when you go, you see it clearly that there's division in governance. Governance strength is in unity. But when our government is divided, the Faker food incident gives us an indication that something cannot go on in government for more than 6 months, and we mean the number 1 man of the state is unable to answer or come out to tell Cameroonians. Yes, the President of the Republic was in China. He had a lot of meetings in China, and you came back in a country where a lot of Cameroonians were doubting you. We needed even a word still at the airport to Cameroonians while they were waiting. I am fully back and I'm well.
Yeah, there's no law that says that when the president returns at the airport he has to address the nation.
Yeah, there is no law, but there is an aspect of good governance in the law.
Yeah, but you were told in the communiques that the president was doing.
Who is telling us?
No, you were told.
Please, Mr. Leo, let me tell you, the President of the Republic is voted by Cameroonians and not the others, and that he is directly mandated.
No, but he has appointed.
I said he is directly mandated to be accountable. The others are what we call messengers. Having a word from you and from your son are 2 different issues.
But you mandate. There is a spokesperson for this government who is a minister of communication.
And Mr. Leo, in governance, there is transparency.
When he communicates, like Dr. is saying, and Paul Atanganji communicates and wants people even to talk.
That's what I'm saying. How do we know who should believe with me?
Please.
No, you believe with me rightly that there were so many communiques.
Of course.
Yes.
And now
the director of civil cabinet communicated.
Commander-in-Chief of armed forces, Supreme Magistrate is the first magistrate. You are right in front of Cameroonians. fellow Cameroonians,
I am back.
heard your pledge and I am back. Yes!
He was working
It's
wherever
normal.
he was.
No,
It's
Mr. Liu,
normal,
you were not
Mr.
there. You are talking from feelings. And I will tell you honestly that Cameroonians need such a feeling that their leader is with them and that as the problems of this nation. We are not doubting. We are talking of the chromatic nature of the state. The chromatic nature comes with the slippery nature of the leadership.
Okay.
And if leadership is sharp, we cannot be talking about it here.
Okay.
The Guardian Post would have analyzed what you are having there.
So
and I'm telling you, we are talking of Joe Biden. Today we are celebrating the Feast of Light. It is a feast known in India. But the President of the United States was in front of the press. I mean, Indian feast, which is now generalized throughout the world. The President of the United States is celebrating such a feast because in his presidency, there are Indians in America which need information on whether America is with them. So Cameroonians need to have an aspect of accountability. We are talking of laxity in government. We are talking of the chromatic nature of the state, the sleeping nature of Cameroon. If the leadership doesn't work, what happened? They say uneasy lies the heads that carries the crown. And many times, when the elderly people who are at the top carrying water from the source and the younger ones and other, if they have to mix the water dirty, then what do we expect beneath? Which means that the problems being suffered or Cameroonians going through beneath are problems that are organized from top management of the state.
Okay.
That is what we are saying.
Okay, let us look at the issues raised according to the Guardian Post, which they expect the president to address. The first, it says, chase dead woods, unproductive ministers from current government. Do you have the feeling that all the ministers are very productive going by the way we look at our society?
The ministers are not productive. When you have Martin Bargangeli, the Director General of National Security, who travels to Mutengene for the police graduation and convocates the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Ngamunjomesi, that this is the nature of roads. He just discovered. He did not know. But this is what Dr. Ako and I have been suffering for years. Why? Because we are the ones using the roads. He goes and notices and convocates. We have ministers. He
does not convocate. He makes a pronouncement. He actually decries. He says
the nature of roads, which means he did not know, Mr. Liu.
He uses the roads. He says that after your appointment by the President of the Republic,
yes,
all of the ministers received orientations on what they have to do.
Their job description.
Why are the ministers not working?
Of course. And he is indexing directly the Minister of Public Works. Emmanuel Ngamunjomesi, I traveled from Yaoundé to Mutengene. I did the roads, and several times on this same platform I've said, if at all our ministers knew that there are Cameroonians who go for days without 100 francs. If our ministers knew that there are parents who cook food without having a liter of palm wine, or rather a liter of palm oil to put in their soup, they will sit up. Mr. Liu, in this same country, the president went, like the Guardian Post says, COMA. We had communiques from several people. The person who is directly involved to communicate on the whereabouts of the president is the Director of Civil Cabinet, Samuel Mvondo Ayolo. He is like the closest person to the president.
Yeah, we are talking about ministers here. That
is he not a minister?
Chased dead woods, unproductive ministers from the current. Yes, which, according to you, which are these ministries that are not even known, because he raised an issue that there are ministers that you do.
Of course, Mr. Liu, I'm coming. Mr. Liu, let me cite one. We have someone who is in charge of public contracts, Ibrahim Tabamala. He's the one that gives contracts. His minister delegate at the presidency in charge of public contracts. But there's a minister of public works, which means the minister will even meet him and say that, like he asked the last time we were together, that give us a donation contract. Which means that those are some of the dead ministries. We have ministers like minister delegate in charge of justice, Jean Didier Momo. But when you ask her, they read them, what is their job description? There's already a minister of justice. What is his job description? What are you doing at the ministry? When you normally when you're a minister, you have a car, you have a driver, you have a gendarme. What is your job description? You have fuel, you have bong de carburant. What is your job description to Cameroonians?
Yeah,
we already
the government knows. Yeah,
Mr. Leo, they said maybe you're the one that asked me the question.
Maybe he's assisting.
Assisting how? What is his job? Let's know his job.
Yeah,
because there's a minister of justice. What are you doing within the corridors of that same ministry? We should know. When we come, for instance, like in education, there's a minister of higher education, there's a minister of basic education, there's a minister of secondary education, and there's a minister of vocational training where Isa Cheruma Bakare is. Coin all these ministries and give to one man. Dr. Ako, I'm sure by then I was not born, but there was a minister of national education, and I'm sure Cameroon was good. Remove all these ministries, give to one minister and say there's minister of national education, because these are wasted. They're wasting resources, our taxes and everything. Now, when you have minister of communication, should normally communicate. Before Minister Paul Atanganji, for instance, became minister of territorial administration, there was a ministry known as the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Decentralization. But when the minister Paul Atanganji was the minister, they cut off decentralization and gave to George Olanga Obam. Now, are you telling us that Atanganji could not hold the two positions? So those are the positions that should be erased. Let us give it to one man. Let us have a Minister of Territorial Administration and Decentralization. So that George Olanga Obam should be defining his job description. Paul Atanganji should be describing his job description. So I think that Mr. Leo, I've explained some of the ministers that the government should think of, because they are wasting resources. There was a firm. There was a firm, and the firm was transferred to Nestle. We had government delegates that were voted. You bought city mayors. What are they doing? How different is a city mayor to
the
government delegate? It's the same people. Who is a public independent conciliator like we have in the Northwest and the Southwest today? What is their job description? If I ask a public independent conciliator, which is a big office, that if you have communicators and answer everything, what is their job description? Ever since they became there, what do they do?
No, you have to.
What have they received? No. Mr. Lee, I'm a journalist. I talk with facts. Who have they received?
They have a lot. They have a lot. They do. Sure, we did an extensive.
Mr. Leo, we even have the House of Chiefs with the President of Chiefs. It is only in Cameroon that a chief, the President of House of Chiefs, convocates funds that mobilize your funds. Let us go and watch a video of President Paul Biya. It's only in Cameroon I've seen that. And now, because of going to watch, a mayor in Bamenda 2 council is killed. How does a fund convocate citizens and obliges that I want you to go and watch a video? Dr. Ako Jonako, I proposed in a journalism forum that most persons were there. I said, instead of imposing on Cameroonians to go and watch the president's video, simply come to my media prime. Mr. Kum Leonard is the director. Meet Mr. Kum and say, okay, we want the president's video to be aired here. Go to other sister media houses, even on the CRTV, and say, okay, let us air the president's video. Because of the president's video, we saw a mayor that has been killed. Still, because of all this, simply because of all this, we saw a mayor, the mayor of Edabato, Roland Ewane, today is not accountable. The governor went and said, I'm giving you 72 hours to release the deal. Because we know that he's in Nigeria. Has he been released? He's been more than 1 month.
Okay.
Mr. Leo, we need the problem in Cameroon, like Dr. Ako John said, is simple.
Okay.
There are people who don't know their job descriptions. It means that because Dr. Ako is eloquent on my media prime, someday he can be appointed a minister. And he bypasses the other minister. So there's conflict of interest. Let people be given their, if they are appointed minister tomorrow, you should know. When you have a minister of territorial administration who wants journalists, whereas there's a minister of communication called Rene Manuel Sadi, and you have the president of the National Communication Council, George Ebonken, who should be the one to tell you that you brought Prince on your panel and simply Prince overwhelmed his mouth, not the minister of territorial administration. He should rather tell the minister that I already convocated you, I struggled to sanction.
Okay, we have just been joined by Monsieur Saliu Soule, who is representing the CPDM party on this platform. Good evening. We are glad to have you.
Oui, bonjour Monsieur Kum. Je suis très heureux d'être là sur votre plateau ce jour. Et je salue vos millions de téléspectateurs, sans toutefois oublier les millions et sympathisants des militants du Rassemblement démocratique du peuple camerounais, qui, comme vous le savez, il y a quelques semaines, il a fallu qu'on souffle un ouf de soulagement. Oui, parce que c'était un aide, il y a de tout.
Oui,
mais nous sommes sereins. Tout à fait, nous sommes sereins aujourd'hui.
Et c'est encore
parce que nous
candidat en
sommes que
2025.
notre président sera candidat en 2025. Okay. Et c'est dans ce cadre-là que nous sommes en train de vouloir célébrer une triple fête ce 6 novembre. Et nous demandons à tous les Camerounais de comprendre que le 6 novembre n'est pas seulement la fête des militants de base du Rassemblement démocratique du peuple camerounais. C'est un moment de fête où tous les Camerounais, quel qu'en soit son chapelle politique, doit célébrer cet instant. Parce que, comme nous aimons à le dire très souvent, l'élection présidentielle, c'est un nom face à son destin. Et c'est le peuple qui le choisit. Et aujourd'hui, il faut le reconnaître que Paul Biya est le président de tous les Camerounais, sans exception. Il est au-dessus de tous les chapelles politiques. Vous voyez, ça c'est d'abord le premier plan. Le deuxième plan maintenant, il revient maintenant aux militants du Rassemblement démocratique, de fêter avec joie et faste, et allégresse surtout, ce moment-là, ce moment très important de la vie de notre champion.
Ok. The Guardian Post, je ne sais pas si vous avez vu cet article,
oui,
qui demande, qui a les dossiers chauds que le président devrait regarder, et il demande de faire partie des ministres qui ne sont pas rentables au bon déroulement de l'État. Vous comprenez cela?
Oui, monsieur Yonakoum.
Est-ce que vous êtes très content de ce qui se passe au Cameroun et des rentabilités des ministres?
Avant de vous donner mon point de vue là, oui, de ce que je pense, mon avis sur ce point, je dirais que The Guardian Post est en train de lire dans une boule de cristal.
Okay.
Vous comprenez? Et j'ai échafaudé les points qu'il a pu énumérer dans son journal. Il y a 8 points.
Oui.
Mais monsieur Léonard, sur quelle base objective il s'est fixé pour élaborer ce point? Les
journalistes étaient enquêteurs.
C'est un enquêteur, mais ce n'est pas ça l'assentiment de la population. C'est pour cela que je dis que la science sénat, le journaliste est en train de lire dans une boule de cristal. Il aurait pu dire que voilà le point. Ça, c'est une proposition, soit fait même une suggestion sur lesquelles le président peut se pencher là-dessus. Oui. Mais là, je dis que non. Parce que sur quelle base dit-on qu'un ministre est improductif?
Mais quand le délégué...
Vous n'avez pas de base. Il n'y a aucun texte dans ce pays.
Quand le délégué...
J'arrive, je vais finir.
Okay.
Il n'y a aucun texte dans ce pays qui démontre que, tu vois, un fonctionnaire ne peut pas faire plus de 20 ans à un poste. Il n'y a pas de texte à cela. Monsieur Prince Joanne, vous comprenez? Donc, il revient à celui qui les a nommés. Il est le seul à les qualifier, à savoir qui fait quoi dans son poste. Vous comprenez? Nous avons seulement ici au Cameroun, vous voyez, quelques frères et sœurs qui sont mal intentionnés. Vous comprenez? On les nomme à leur poste, ils ne font pas véritablement leur travail. Vous savez, l'État, le mécanisme, le métabolisme mécanique même de l'État, Paul Biya ne peut pas faire tout seul. Vous comprenez, monsieur Prince? Le président de la République ne peut pas tout faire à lui seul, non. Ça, dites-vous cela. Il nomme des gens, ses adjuvants, qui l'aident à transcender un certain nombre et à régler même des problèmes. Mais aujourd'hui, qu'est-ce qu'on constate? On constate la mauvaise foi, la mauvaise volonté. Par contre, moi, ce que je pouvais proposer au DP de Guardian, qui a intitulé ce dossier brûlant que Biya devrait gérer pour ressusciter la nation. Mais la nation n'est pas en agonie, monsieur Prince, monsieur Yonakoum.
Oui.
Vous comprenez?
Mais excusez-moi, je vous relance. Quand le délégué général à la Sûreté nationale lui-même se plaint que...
Des nations de la route.
Ça fait longtemps qu'il lui-même a vécu ce genre de route. Ça veut dire que ça se passe bien lui-même. Parce que quand vous suivez ses propos, il dit que quand le président...
Il porte même plainte.
Quand le président vous a nommé, il a donné les orientations. Il se plaint que, mais pourquoi qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire pour développer? Parce que quand je lis ça, c'est comme s'il voyait dans ça une tendance de sabotage.
Au chef de l'État.
Oui.
Bon, maintenant, la faute à qui? On ne peut pas accuser le chef de l'État, parce que le chef de l'État vous nomme dans une fonction pour pour que vous puissiez travailler.
C'est
le cahier de route.
Oui, mais
donc, je disais que Bargangele a fait jouer un constat. Vous comprenez? Vous comprenez? Il a fait un constat. Et ce constat, dans le contexte actuel où nous sommes, va intéresser beaucoup de Camerounais. Pourquoi? Parce que quand vous ne maîtrisez pas comment faire des choses, vous ne pouvez pas comprendre ce qui se passe. C'est la raison pour laquelle aujourd'hui, que moi je suis fier qu'il ait pu faire ce constat-là et que nous en débattons aujourd'hui. Pourquoi? Tout simplement parce que on nomme les gens qui ne veulent plus rien faire. Maintenant, il faut se poser la question sur ceux qu'on a nommés à des postes et qui ne veulent pas travailler. Est-ce qu'on doit impunément mettre cette faute-là à la tête du chef de l'État? Non, c'est nous, le peuple. Nous devions nous corriger. Et voilà pourquoi j'ai dit que le plus grand dossier, et l'un des dossiers même sur lesquels des Gordon Paul devaient s'y pencher, c'était d'abord le changement de mentalité, de comportement. Qu'est-ce que nous allons laisser à nos enfants? Quel Cameroun voulons-nous? Le chef de l'État a posé la question à plusieurs reprises et il a d'ailleurs été le premier à se demander que qu'est-ce qu'on n'a pas? Qu'est-ce que les autres ont? Pourquoi est-ce que notre développement tarde à prendre de l'envol? Vous comprenez? Donc c'est dans ce contexte-là que aujourd'hui, il faudrait que vous et moi, Monsieur Leonard, qu'on essaie de chercher à comprendre. Okay. La faute ne lui revient pas. Okay. La responsabilité nous incombe tous.
Okay. Now, one of the second point that they raised, or the third point, says to replace ministers who have spent over 20 years in the same portfolio. Yeah, but you already raised that.
Yes, one thing I want to is Mr.
Soule.
You are the head of your family. C'est toi le chef de la famille.
Yeah.
Et on arrive chez vous, les enfants sont désordonnés. À cet instant, qui on peut accuser?
On accuse l'enfant, mais on n'accuse pas son cœur.
On accuse son père.
On peut donner des orientations à l'enfant et l'enfant fait autrement.
Et s'il fait autrement, qu'est-ce que le père doit faire?
Et si vous pensez que le recadrement de l'ordre n'a pas été fait, pourquoi est-ce que ça persiste alors?
Non, ça veut dire qu'est-ce que tu peux faire comme une paix pour un enfant qui résiste?
Vous savez, non, je comprends là, vous voulez déjà aller.
Ok, non, ça va, je voulais savoir. Parce que quand il y a une chef de l'État, comme le président de la République, et qu'il y a les ministres qui n'arrivaient pas à travailler par l'orientation donnée par le chef de l'État, il y a les sanctions prévues par les textes. On peut les limoger. Pour la première fois dans ces républiques qu'il y a eu une élection présidentielle depuis 2018. Nous sommes à presque 6 ans après. On n'a pas eu les changements de gouvernement. Est-ce que vous pensez bien que le chef qu'on appelle le chef de la famille, c'est lui toujours le chef de la même famille? C'est lui le même capitaine de ce bateau. C'est là que ça nous revient. That a lot of people know, please. Cameroon has gotten to a level that the leadership no longer holds. And there is, what we say, things fall apart. Everybody is trying to do what he can do, not what even government wants us to do. And the people have been intimidated to a level. Like you said, the people. Yes, the people have the right to hold those who can't work responsible when the state cannot control.
Why not?
Not the intimidation is that every time we talk, either you are arrested or you are dismissed from your profession or you are sanctioned or all the like. Cameroonians have decided, je veux voir mes enfants grandir. It's now the general word used. Don't you want to see your children grow? If you want to see your children grow, then you have to stay quiet. Within the same government, for 20 years, in a ministerial department, I just said here, that it means that some people have a mandate, even more than that of the President of the Republic. On fait élu le chef de l'État chaque 7 ans. Mais si on laisse quelqu'un 20 ans dans la même position, sans même un décret de révélation, ça veut dire que lui-même, son mandat dépasse le président de la République. Et tout ce que c'est pas bien. Dans la gouvernance, good governance demands renewal, sanctioning, transparency, accountability, information. Then we don't have. And we say, we the people. We are not the people. Not all Cameroonians are bad. The leadership of the nation, that's a problem. And you people within the ranks of the ruling party, be courageous, like we just saw the Delegate General of National Security hitting hard. If you give us bad results, give us a bad name. Because otherwise, will be calling everybody as a bad seed. When it is bad, it is bad. And we must, by all costs, denounce it at every level that we are. This aspect that all Cameroonians are bad is not correct. Some Cameroonians are bad. Some people are failing to do their job, and we know them. 20 years in a ministerial department, yes, some ministries have evolved. Obviously, we see the results. Yes, some people may say, maybe in some higher education, you are getting Anglophone. There is change. There are changes there. If you get to basic education, you see new schools coming up. You see them in the field working. If you get to higher education, the same. Cameroon will tell you that 20 years ago they were 4 state universities. Today they are 10. And infrastructure is going on in those universities. Some ministry, I said that there's a ministry, Mr. Leo, tourism. I don't know whether you have seen a placard of tourism in Cameroon. Where they are
Minister of State, Minister of State. He's Minister of State.
Tourism. In some countries, tourism is the greatest part of the state budget. Places like Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, go and ask how much they get from tourism. So what is happening? It simply means that such ministries that are not productive, they should be wiped out or joined with other ministries. We have ministries like mines. You have mines, water and energy. You have another one, forest and wildlife. Then you have another one, environment and nature protection. They ask you, what is the difference between nature and wildlife, forestry and whatsoever? This is where the problem is. Because at the end of the day, the duties and the obligations overlaps. And at the end, everybody is afraid to work. They conflict and they have a quarrel. There is a lot of junk. I don't even believe that the President of the Republic even know all the ministers in this country.
No, he doesn't. Because
when you look in a country that is governed, when Joe Biden comes out for a public speech, he looks around and calls the Secretary of State for Health by his name. If a question concerns you, say, answer the question. When the guy for Pentagon is around, he calls him by his name. So are we sure that the lack of this part of the mismanagement in governance and leadership is that the person who even appointed them don't even know their capacity? Because you don't appoint somebody you don't even know his history, whether he's capable of working. There are a lot of problems. At times too, we used to talk, like others said, Gaddafi years too long, but then people evaluate the outcome. If we can find results, if there were results on our roads, if there were results at the councils, if there were results here, come on, that's what we're talking about.
Of course.
You were talking of, formally, when we talk of government delegates and city mayors, they simply changed the name, because one was appointed and the other one was elected. So now we have the election. Formally, the collection of debts was within the competence of councils. They said no, councils are not efficient. They brought Isaka. Has the situation changed? The situation has not changed. So if you find that there is a problem, at times the problem is not in the people doing it. It might be a system. A holistic approach is needed to get everybody involved. I propose something. We need to get people, when you cannot respond to your order, the president appoints you, you have 5 years to execute.
Without which,
not seen results. This energy, you don't know how many billions Cameroonians have spent on construction of dams. But it is shocking that electricity cannot be on for 30 minutes. In no part in Cameroon. Meaning we live in an epileptic environment when it comes to energy. Some people are unable to drink water. Now we are diving into our boreholes. If it is boreholes, why then spend billions to give those who are treating the National Water Production Board Cam Water? What are they doing? If Cameroon still have to depend on certified boreholes to get drinking water, it is a problem. It is a problem. Get to the ministries where results are not. When you look at the Ministry of Public Health, people show you hospitals where beds have been abandoned, unused, dust covered everywhere. Then they show you a hospital, there is no bed. In some hospitals, there are no roofs. There is a problem. We cannot refuse and start accusing. We are seeing it. You are in your house, you sell a child with 20,000 in the market. He goes to the market and brings back maybe properties or food worth 30,000. You should question that this is not food for 20,000. If you cannot question, you are instead telling the child that next time when I give 20,000, go and bring food for 1,000. There's still no problem.
Correct.
That is governance. Governance goes to accountability, and equally, rigorously, is the right to sanction. That is what the head of state promised us in 1982: rigor and moralization.
And integrity.
Integrity. So now, at the end of the day, where is the rigor? Even when he makes 50 close days out, no, we are not asking. When we make 52 days out of the country, we are using taxpayers' money. People have questioned Biden. People have questioned South Africa. Why their leaders should make 7 days abroad?
People have questioned Emmanuel Macron openly.
So please, Mr. Leo, let me come.
We are talking about those who have been, the Garden Post thinks that those who have been there for over 20 years.
Mr. Leo, I wanted to cite.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that at times the problem might not even be the durability. The problem is the accountability aspect in governance. Somebody can make 20 years, produce the results, but some ministers say we don't even know them. When you get Narola Younger, she has not been there for long, but at least you see her in the field. That one is different. When you get to basic education, you see them in the field. I said some ministries, is that the guys leave their houses, get to the ministry, put their AC, and simply tell no to their delegates in region. Arts and culture. Honestly, I don't know what they are doing there. But these are ministries that are supposed to be productive and animated. You sell the image of the nation abroad. We need to see people actively in the field. You get tourism.
Ministers who have been there for more than 8 years.
8 years.
I'll give you, I'll cite them.
No.
One, Madeleine Chuente of Scientific Research. Cameroon even had COVID-19. I'm citing.
Yeah, no, please. I don't want us to cite it because it becomes a personal attack.
No.
That's what I'm preferring. So please, I'm telling you that there is a need when the head of state appoints you. They give you the paper. When you see when they talk, they charge. They give you. They are telling you that you have 4 years. What is in that paper is what the state is waiting from you. So 5 years after, where are we? Give a report.
If you cannot,
if you cannot, we replace. That's what is happening. Trump somewhat replaced more than 3 secretaries of state in 1 4-year mandate. That's because results were not coming, and it is necessary.
Now, the Garden Post thinks that they should replace retired governors, SDOs, DOs, and for them to rest. Others should take over.
It's very normal. It's very normal. Like Dr. Ako said, in a system, Mr. Leo, you are one of the founding fathers. They made me bring it to my media prime. You're one of the founding fathers of my media prime. If you were not productive, you will not still be there. The fruits are there. One of the highest watched media stations in most particularly Northwest and Southwest is my media prime television.
Monsieur Prince, la gestion d'un pays va au-delà d'une gestion familiale.
Non, c'est pas bon. Donc ça c'est une gestion familiale.
Tant que tu compares les affaires de la famille à la République.
Oh, et la famille, non, c'est sa maison.
Sois un peu sérieux, ce que tu dis là.
Oui.
Non, c'est sa maison.
Avant de te faire nommer ministre, on doit regarder ton parcours.
J'ai dit
ton parcours ne fait pas faire.
Tout cela se fait. Mais posez-nous la question à savoir pourquoi est-ce que ceux dont ton homme ne veut pas travailler. Allez-y.
Ce que je suis en train de dire est très simple. Que il n'y a pas une école où on forme les ministres. C'est pour ça qu'on a vu, bon, comme vous avez dit qu'on ne sait pas le nom, qu'on a vu une dame, elle était maire à Bagaté, elle est aujourd'hui ministre. Elle a été formée pour être ministre.
Tout à fait.
C'est pour dire que tu peux t'élever comme je parle avec toi, mais ceci aujourd'hui, le lendemain, tu es ministre. C'est pour ça que je protège toutes mes relations. Parce que c'est quelqu'un avec qui tu es aujourd'hui, hein, monsieur Lio. Ça ne doit pas me surprendre qu'on a nommé monsieur Kum, ministre de la communication. Ça ne me surprend pas. Mais comme disait le docteur, qu'est-ce que tu as fait? Est-ce que tu as un parcours? Est-ce que tu as le bilan? Est-ce que tu rends compte aux gens? Dès qu'on regarde que tu ne fais pas, qu'est-ce qu'on dit? Non. Tu étais bon, tu fais un magnifique travail, mais attendez. On a vu le gouverneur du littoral. J'ai été à la réunion que le gouverneur a fait, M. Samevoa Dibois. Il a dit, vous les appelez les micros, moi je les appelle les bandits. Et on voit comment le travail qui se passe aujourd'hui. On voit le travail, c'est oui. C'est pour dire, dès qu'on te regarde censé, comme M. Kum Leonard m'a invité, je dois sortir avec ma carte d'identité. Puisqu'il y a un renfort maintenant où, dès que tu ne montes pas la carte d'identité, il y a un problème. Parce qu'on sait que Douala, c'est grave. At the end of the day, Mr. Leo, if you're appointed in a post, you should be able to show what you have done. Yeah. He has given an example. Minister Nalova Lyonga just came to secondary education, but we are seeing things. One, she has given names to the Ministry of Finance that do not pay these people because for more than 4 or 5 years, they are taking salaries whereas they are not on their post. It means she has done census and discovered that Dr. Ako should be teaching here whereas he's taking salary and not working. That's one. Two, She has made it possible that all those who are of whether private or secondary should have an identification number.
That all students.
All students.
Registered in all schools.
Registered in all schools.
Should be identified.
We are seeing the work. But when they appoint you to a post and we don't see what you're doing, what should come?
Electronic payment of school fees.
Electronic payment. There is no longer something that you go and give bossa. Il n'y a plus économe. Tout c'est fait, on voit. C'est pour dire à la fin, monsieur, sur que c'est nos ministres. They are working for us and we are Cameroonians. So we should be able to even answer that, Mr. Minister, you have been here for 10 years. I'll give you another example. There's a video that went viral of Simon Longe beaten. The same day, the delegate of defense brought a communique that I want an investigation. It means you're working. But if something is happening in your ministry, 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, nothing. Should Cameroonians all ask, are you your minister or you are our minister?
Pourquoi les autres ne travaillent pas alors? C'est là le véritable problème.
C'est vous savez, les gardiens vont dire que sanctionner-les, enlevez-le.
Ça profite à qui?
À nous, les Camerounais.
Okay, yeah, but the Guardian Post, your question is on governors that are on retirement, that they should be sent home, SDOs and DOs. Mr.
Liu, we know some of these cases. You are the one that said I should not call names. I would have been calling names, but we will not call names. Yeah, we are not calling names, but we know that in this country at one time, there were more than 8 administrators at the University of Douala who were earning salaries whereas they were dead. We know those things. We know ministers we know people who are in certain offices who normally they are already on retirement officially. The Minister of Finance, Lipo Mutaze, brought something and said the Cameroon government has lost no less than 3 billion francs because of ghost workers, and we know them. If you want us to call names, we will not call names. It is time that those who are not serving the purpose of the country should go on retirement. Monsieur Soulé, le Cameroun, comme disait Dr. Ako, c'est d'abord notre pays. Mon fils est camerounais, il restera camerounais. Et après nous, Dr. Ako va partir, tu vas partir, je vais partir. Nos enfants resteront toujours les Camerounais. Ils ne seront jamais les Américains. Okay. Disons la vérité.
Now, one thing I want to say with the issue of governors. I believe the Guardian Post was simply trying to point on the government that there are a chunk of Cameroonians that are supposed to be on retirement.
Yes.
Calling just governors and SDO might be biased. There are a lot of people, when you go to some ministerial department, some offices, you know very well that this man is supposed to go on retirement. It is the same thing talking to Mr. Sule, that somewhere uneasy lies the heads that bears the crown.
Simple.
He is the one to take the decisions. And if there is something not going well with a particular ministerial department or some Cameroonians, yes, maybe for friendly reasons, the head of state has that largesse too, but we should be informed. Yeah, at times you meet a player. There's a player in a squad at 44 years, like Abel Roger Miller. Was he called over for the national team? But today you cannot play to 28 years. But when you are there, we should know the reason why at 44 you are there. The results are coming.
Dr. Ako Jonako, simple. We saw the new coach. He said, there is a young man I saw called Boris and bring me him. We saw what Boris did in Kampala, Uganda.
So there is one aspect which I
want to know. On disait qu'il n'est pas bon, c'est pas un bon entraîneur, mais il a montré quand même qu'il est bon.
Now I don't want to get us very far. The minister delegate in charge of security saw the nature of roads.
Because he traveled on the same road.
I said for the
first time.
I was happy.
Let's take a listen to what the government delegate. We should the delegate general for national security said yesterday.
DGSN.
Yeah, we had this on the program yesterday, but let's still take a listen to it.
Dès qu'il met en place un gouvernement, dans les 48 heures qui suivent, il réunit le Conseil des ministres au Palais de l'Unité pour rappeler les orientations qu'il entend donner aux membres du gouvernement nouvellement mis en place pour suivre et exécuter les directives en vigueur qu'il a déjà données. Mais que faisons-nous? J'ai été jeudi au sud-ouest, à Moutenene. entre Yaoundé et Moutenguene, ça a été un calvaire pour circuler. Je n'avais jamais vécu cette situation auparavant. Pourquoi? Le président a donné des orientations, a donné des instructions. Il y a des membres du gouvernement en place. Que faisons-nous pour le développement de notre pays?
The Delegate General for National Security is very clear and direct. He says the President of the Republic has given us directives on what we are supposed to do, but why are we not doing our job? That is as simple as that.
Yeah, I was coming to that point. You just let me add. He saw roads, but he has equally failed to tell Cameroonians that for the first time, Cameroonians too don't have ID cards even after 5 years. Meaning you are moving, you are looking at the annals of another person, forgetting that others too are seen from behind.
I'm questioning why.
When we were doing ID cards manually, nobody complained. Today we have purchased computers, invited engineers, paid billions of CFA. ID cards have a problem.
Okay, Monsieur,
Monsieur Kum, je vais vous dire une chose. Chasser.
Après avoir écouté le DGSM.
Je reviens après avoir écouté M. Mbagangele.
Le DGSM. Et
dans l'esprit du thème que The Guardian Post nous offre sur ce plateau. Je commencerai par dire ceci. Chasser les bons morts, les ministres improductifs du gouvernement, c'est que ce thème requiert beaucoup de questionnements. Sur quelle base dit-on qu'un ministre est improductif? Ça, c'est la première question que je me pose. Si on se laisse aller dans ce genre de jugement, on risquerait de se lancer dans une chasse aux sorcières qui ne se fonde pas dans la logique. Vous comprenez? Et je vais dire au docteur ici présent que Paul Biya, c'est quelqu'un qui, à travers son âge aujourd'hui, gère ce pays avec la main sur le cœur. Donc Paul Biya, c'est un père de famille. C'est un patriarche qu'il faut respecter. Et vous savez, quand vous avez déjà atteint ce niveau, on ne gère pas une république dans la précipitation. Voilà pourquoi nous avons opté pour la démocratie à pas de torture. Une démocratie apaisée. Et c'est dans ce contexte que nous sommes en train de vouloir que le Cameroun puisse être un pays émergent d'ici 2035. Je reviens dans le contexte du titre.
2035.
Oui, du titre que The Guardian Post nous a offert ce matin. Les dossiers brûlants que Paul Biya devrait gérer pour ressusciter la nation. J'ai dit tantôt ici, à l'entendre de mes propos, que la nation n'était pas en agonie pour qu'une perfusion vienne et la ressusciter. Non, M. Kum. Et pour éclairer la lanterne de vos millions de téléspectateurs qui nous suivent, je vais énumérer ce point, les 8 points que The Guardian Post a énumérés dans son journal. 1. Chasser les ministres improductifs des bons morts du gouvernement. 2. Remplir le vide laissé par les membres du gouvernement. Nous allons revenir sur ça.
Décédé.
Bon, décédé. 3. Remplacer les ministres qui ont fait plus de 20 ans. 4. Envoyer les gouverneurs, préfets, sous-préfets au village. 5. Remplacer les DG, PCA ayant un mandat déjà expiré. 6. Les suspects de l'araignée inculpés dans le scandale de détournement des fonds Covid-19 et AFCON doivent être condamnés. 7. Convoquer un conseil supérieur de la magistrature pour voir le cas de 897 magistrats véreux pour examiner ces plaintes et voir si on peut nommer certains ou bien si on peut les mettre de côté. 8. Lutter contre, et c'est le 8e point même que je trouve légitime, lutter contre la hausse du coût de la vie, l'aggravation de la sécurité, la dégradation des infrastructures routières et la pénurie d'eau potable, coupure d'électricité, etc., etc. Vous voyez, sur les 8 thèmes que le DP de Garden Post a voulu nous faire partager ce matin sur ce plateau, je trouve que seul le 8e point. Voilà pourquoi j'ai dit tantôt ici qu'il était en train de lire dans la boule de cristal. Il ne peut pas être dans le cœur de ceux qui gèrent ce pays pour croire que, en disant ceci, les Camerounais, là, on tombe une fois de plus dans le chapitre de ce que je vais dire ici, le chapitre de la manipulation. Et voilà pourquoi.
Donc, il est en train de manipuler le DP.
Bon, je ne vais pas l'affirmatif dire. Je dis que nous entrons dans le chapitre de la manipulation des consciences, la désinformation, le montage, les fake news, le complot même d'ailleurs. Et je dirais que jusqu'à présent, jusqu'à peu de contraire, pardon, personne parmi tous ces titres, aucun titre n'a pu ébranler la conscience des Camerounais. C'est que nous débattons cela aujourd'hui, mais je dis aucun titre de cela n'a pu ébranler la conscience des Camerounais. Donc, c'est un titre qu'on a essayé de lancer pour voir la réaction de la population, du peuple camerounais. Donc, voilà pourquoi je mets dans le registre de la manipulation. Mais, par contre, je dis, l'un des plus grands dossiers au Cameroun est aujourd'hui la prise de conscience, la rectitude morale, le changement de moralité, l'amour du prochain. Se poser la question à savoir pourquoi ceux dont on nomme à des postes de responsabilité pour gérer la République ne font pas bien leur travail. Nous les interpellons, le chef de l'État les interpelle chaque jour. Mais finalement, nous, le bas peuple, nous constatons que ceux-là ne font pas leur travail. Mais au lieu d'accuser celui qu'il faut, nous voyons ailleurs. C'est comme si on vous montrait la ligne de l'autre côté.
Qui est-ce qu'il faut accuser ici?
C'est ça.
Nous devons accuser les responsables directs.
Ce sont
Qui?
Les responsables directs de cette affaire.
Qui va les accuser?
Ce sont les DG, les PCA que vous avez.
Mais
que
c'est
vous
ça
parlez.
que la question posée.
Non, lui, c'est qu'il veut entrer dans une chatte aux sorcières qui ne dit pas son nom.
Comment
vous
ça?
comprenez? On ne peut pas faire gérer un pays, tu vois, en pourchassant les gens, ou bien parce qu'ils sont vieux, ou bien parce que non. Un vieux peut avoir la capacité de faire une très bonne gestion. D'abord, d'ailleurs, nos parents sont tous vieux. Est-ce qu'ils ne gèrent pas bien la famille entre nous?
Mais est-ce qu'il y a,
répondez-moi.
Est-ce qu'il y a les textes qui demandent que les gens aillent en retraite? Est-ce que les âges sont fixés là-bas?
Il y a des cadres, oui, où on demande à un certain nombre de responsables de haut lieu d'aller en retraite à un certain moment. Là, nous sommes bien d'accord.
Parlons de DG. Est-ce qu'il y a une loi aussi qui dit que tu ne devais pas être là au-delà de certains...
Non, il n'y a aucun test. Je vous dis, il n'y a aucun test.
Monsieur Sule.
I
want to have the worry that you have come here to misinform Cameroonians. The guidance post at its place. The very headlines has its place. You will not tell me that there's nothing like COVID gate or can gate, and that we should not talk about it. You know very well that there are still sport infrastructure up to today that the various contractors have not delivered the project. We have spent billions. The biggest stadium is Olembe Stadium. The last match that took place there was the final of the African Cup of Nations the same year. We are unable to use it. Do you find that normal? That Olembe is not practicable.
That the boss of Inyese say
that now that we are
play
talking,
in Yaoundé because we have
the
infrastructure.
last visit of CAF is telling me that all what you see is dustbin, and that the only stadium that can be used is Amadou Ahijo and
Japoma.
No, Japoma is no longer there. It's
Okay.
Bafoussam.
Okay.
Bafoussam and Amadou Ahijo are the only two infrastructures that we can use for a game. Do you find that comfortable? Please,
Doctor,
wait. I'm just
we
breaking.
cannot remake AFCON here today.
No, that is the type of story I don't like. If we cannot remake and we cannot
leave justice do his work.
where is the justice? Who is causing or asking justice not to do his
Il y a
work?
une enquête qui a été ouverte.
Where is the
L'enquête
result?
est en cours. Attendons la copie de l'enquête.
One thing
Pour voir
I
la
want you
suite.
that I know within the system that people live, you will tell me that it is all for the glory of the system. Yes, I said yet that the issue with Cameroon is not how long, but the accountability aspect of it. You can still be a good player and you are old. But then, you don't let us believe that when people are appointed, they have to act anyhow. I just brought an example here. Nobody has a mandate in the United States than the President of the Republic. I mean, for 4 years. The moment you work for 3 years, you are off. 2, meaning they overlove you. You cannot go the second mandate with the same person. Except in some technical domain, which at times it comes with security and health. You find those guys standing because they are there not by politics. They're there because of their competence. And if we appoint by competence, there's a need to ask those questions. 20 years after, what has become of your ministry?
Correct.
I used to tell Cameroonians, Franklin Roosevelt said, ask not what your country has done to you, but what you have offered to your nation. What will Cameroonians read about you? If we are talking about Roger Miller today, Cameroonians are happy of what he did to the nation. If we are talking of Samuel Eto'o today, we are seeing what he's doing and what he has brought to the image of the nation. So what is you? Because you are still like a player.
Why can you not take that to that director or minister?
But that is what I'm saying. That is what I'm asking. So why can't we ask this Minister of Communication that you did it? Why should Camtel decide that the communication aspect in Cameroon be owned by private operators? Can Camtel not operate communication and bring us in like they just did? They declare, and it's equally for the first time, the woman declared benefits of about 11 or 6 billion. But imagine if Camtel was working as a communication agency of the nation that we want. You can imagine the billions that would have been receiving. We are talking of import substitution. There is a need for import substitution in the telecommunication domain. If we can have a company at the directorate of the Cameroon Post and Telecommunication that deals equally with mobile telephone, that deals with internet like they are doing. Because somewhere I used to ask myself, why do we privatize basic necessities? No nation does that. That is the oxygen of a nation. When you privatize basic water, energy, communication, where are we?
Okay.
Has the water been fixed? Moroccans came with a scam. They went. Enyo, Enlekam, I don't know. Enyo, Eyet, Sonel. What has changed? Changing their names.
Okay.
Which means that the thing, or it's like the vegetable, or the worms that eat the vegetable always live within the vegetable itself. So for us to keep the vegetable healthy, you need to kill the worms. I'm talking of those in the system who cannot produce, who are holding back the state, the government. The same pen that appoints them can still use the same pen to sanction.
Okay, the same pen can sanction them.
Monsieur Kum, avant que vous ne preniez la parole, je dois dire au docteur qu'il faut qu'il sache que la vie de tous les jours ne se présente pas ainsi. Et que nous avons pour habitude de dire que le peuple a raison. Mais je vais dire une chose ici, ce soir. Le peuple n'a pas toujours raison. Vous comprenez? Ce n'est pas parce qu'une situation s'est posée qu'on doit tout débarrasser. Voilà pourquoi je dis que sur les points que le gardien poste a ventilé ce jour, je ne pense pas qu'il y a un point qui puisse ébranler la tranquillité des Camerounais.
Sauf que le 8e
Mais
point.
le 8e point est quand même un point qu'il faut donner et prêter beaucoup de considération.
Donc il y a manqué d'eau ou potable?
Non, voilà des sujets sur lesquels nous devons nous attarder. Parce que tout ce que nous faisons, c'est le buzz. Vous comprenez? Et c'est ça, les uns et les autres qui aiment écouter ça. Ceux qui sont tellement tranchés dans la manipulation des faits, dans le montage des fake news. Tu vois, non? Ils nous embrouillent. Ils nous embrouillent avec tout cela. Vous comprenez? Donc, je dirais que le Cameroun n'est pas en agonie. Il ne faut pas une perfusion pour réveiller le Cameroun. Le Cameroun est debout et tient fort avec son chef, mon champion, son excellence Paul Biya, président de tous les Camerounais.
Qui dépasse Jésus-Christ.
Je n'ai pas parlé de Jésus-Christ, je parle de mon champion.
Oui, c'est
vous comprenez? Tu vois, non?
oui.
Il est là sur la manette et il tient bon. Et il va nous conduire à bon port.
Okay. They also raised the issue of arraigning suspects indicted in the COVID-19 and AFCON embezzlement scandal. The President of the Republic, I'm sure 2 years ago, during his end-of-year address, said that that anybody who was involved was going to render accounts. But to date, we really do not know investigations were even open to that effect. To date, we do not know where these investigations, at what level they are.
You're very correct, Mr. Leo. And maybe before I get there, Mr. Sule, the first thing I will tell you is the Guardian Post that you see is the lone newspaper in Cameroon that publishes 7 times a week. It publishes from Monday to Sunday. C'est un quotidien. Dans l'information qui vient ici là, ils ont quand même fait les enquêtes. So it's not a quarter newspaper. It's a newspaper that has credibility. And it's a newspaper that has not less than 20 years
in service.
In service.
C'est même quand vous avez la crédibilité que vous manipulez la conscience de vos lecteurs.
Je n'ai pas journaliste.
Je suis journaliste.
Okay, bon,
voilà.
je savais pas.
Oui.
Bon,
je suis journaliste. Je suis aussi directeur de publication.
De quel journal?
Horizon Plus Magazine. Ça fait 27 ans que je suis dans la presse.
Mais en parlant, quand je vous vois, vous êtes venu avec les textes, tu lisais seulement.
Non.
C'est le parti qui t'a dit venir communiquer comme ça, on sait.
Non, c'est ce que vous pensez. C'est ce que vous pensez. Vous savez que la communication, c'est une méthode, c'est une attitude. En écrivant. Je ne vais pas sur un plateau pour dire du n'importe quoi. Okay, je viens pour éclairer la lanterne des Camerounais. C'est peut-être que c'est une méthode. Et quand vous êtes dans une méthode, tu vois, l'erreur n'est pas.
Mr. Leo, you asked me a question that it's time that those involved in the COVID and things like that should be picked up. I'll give you a very simple example. There's a video that Longe did. He did an interview with a sister channel, TV Segment, where the journalist asked him, can you come back to Cameroon? He says, you can never come back. Because if he comes back, he will be killed. I'm quoting him. The video is there. TV Segment. Hey, Dr. Ako?
Yes.
In the same video, he says he has heard that the minister delegate wants to open an investigation to arrest those who are involved. And he says that the person who beat me, I'm speaking of what he said. He says it is a man called Tabana Bena, and even gives his location that the man as of now is a Port d'Autonome de Kribi. Tabana, thank you, Mr. Leo. And says that he travaille aux ordres de Colonel Bankwi. Now, instead of opening investigations, you already know those he cited. So it's just to tell you that in the COVID-19 case and other cases, we know those who are involved. When COVID-19 came, one of the ministers in this country said, who said chauve-souris? He said something, chauve-souris. We know those who are involved. That is one of the cases that the Guardian Post has raised. CIE COVID-19. Who are those who are involved? There is a ministry in Cameroon that is in charge of scientific research. Which means if there are people who have embezzled money for research to give Cameroonians a medicine for COVID-19, go and ask the minister as the president. Simple. You are in charge of scientific research. Qu'est-ce qui n'a pas marché, madame? Because it's a woman. And far from that, we have a minister of public health. What happened?
Finance.
It's not an issue of going. That is why recently, because of conflict of interest, we had a situation that people complained.
The Guardian ne peut pas organiser la chasse aux sorcières des ministres ou des DG.
Non, j'ai dit, est-ce que c'est une chasse? C'est une enquête que le journal a fait. Et nous parlons que c'est les faits. There is a situation that happened recently where proprietors of private universities are complaining because the Minister of Public Health stopped that private universities should not train medical personnel. Why? Because the Minister of Public Health told him that no, you have universities, let me train doctors, so that if someone is selling medicines by the road, let me know that this person is trained. All these things is because of conflict of interest. Why? Because you have someone who is Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, Chancellor of Academic Orders, and far from that, he is a communication section of the party in power. So he has a lot of energy. The simple truth is reduce the energy. If you reduce some of these energies, it will be better. That's what the Guardian Post is saying. That the Guardian Post said, and when you read it, they put it in code that there are files that he needs to resurrect, which means, as people were saying, there are files that he should understand. One of our colleagues, 6 months in Balef Bijoka, did an editorial that went viral. 6 months, oui. 6 months, Balef did an interview and said, je peux même t'envoyer si tu es intéressé. Il a fait un éditorial. Il dit, j'ai causé avec mon ami au quartier. Il a dit, mais Quel est ce ministre? Il se prend pour qui? Tu ne peux pas au même moment être ministre de la communication. Tu es journaliste, comme tu viens de dire. Moi, je suis membre du SNJC et tout.
Je suis membre.
Bon.
SNJC.
Merci. J'ai dit alors que le confrère a dit, même si le président n'est pas vivant, ou bien il était tel, il y a quelqu'un qui est chargé
de la communication.
Comment se fait-il que tu sors pour dire aux journalistes de ne pas parler?
Yeah, that's not the topic. For
No, it's not the topic. I'm just saying no. No, it's not the topic, Mr. Abdul. I'm just simply saying that.
My question to you has to do with investigating.
And I'm saying that, Mr. Leo, investigating COVID, and I've told you that we know those who are.
Monsieur Kum,
no, attendez. Attendez, oui.
Let him finish.
Yeah, Mr. Leo, I'm saying that in COVID-19 there were people who had a budget. And Dr. Ako, why are we investigating? We know them. In AFCON, we know some. We know there's even a commission that's been created recently that's in charge UNIS. There's a commission that is for infrastructure. So instead of going to be why are we thinking where we know those who are concerned? Les concernés sont là, on les connaît. We know the concerns. Instead of going to investigate, Madam, you're in charge of scientific research. What happened with money for COVID-19? Tell us.
Yeah, they must be given a fair hearing to
What I'm saying.
That's what we're saying. They should convocate them.
There is a problem in governance.
Some investigations were opened already.
Yeah, no, why we open investigations?
Les de cette enquête ont commencé à tomber.
Alors qu'on connaît les concernés.
On attend la copie.
On connaît les concernés.
Il faut que la copie change la table.
Non.
Ne serait pas parti de ce moment-là.
Je te donne des exemples. Je te donne des exemples.
La différence.
Je te donne des exemples.
Est-ce que vous allez aux États-Unis dire que la décision qu'a prise Biden n'est pas valable?
Confrère, donne-moi une minute.
Même les républicains respectent
non, donne-moi une minute.
De Biden.
Oui, confrère.
Au cours des élections qui auront
Docteur, we saw.
Mais ici, ce n'est pas normal.
Permettez. We saw Emmanuel Macron in a gathering where a Camerounien said, Monsieur Macron, mon pays souffre. C'était le mensonge. Et c'est Macron qui dit que j'ai été saisi et j'ai donné les ordres qu'on libère Maurice Kamto. C'est là.
Yeah, but we are talking something else. Why
No, I'm saying that
what we are saying.
Vous voulez manipuler la conscience. Ce n'est pas bien. Revenons sur les titres que le Guardian a évoqués ce matin.
There's a problem in governance in Cameroon.
Simple.
Some people submit it
Simple.
to governance. But the problem is the lack of independence of the judiciary.
Simple.
When something is reported, we don't even supposed to wait for the head of state to give order. When there is an issue, COVID gate, people have mismanaged. Procureur General
convoque
the
scientific research.
What we call judicial police. The moment something, by allegation.
Simple.
That's what works in our nation. By allegation, judicial police goes for investigation.
You are in scientific research.
That is your domain.
Oui, on te convoque d'abord.
Charge of inquiry. So that at any time you are called over. How is this case?
If there is alcohol, convoke the president of Kafoot.
No, I said we don't. They don't convoke. At the police in preliminary inquiry, they don't convoke anybody. You go for finding of facts.
Facts.
Because you know where budget was disbursed and to who. And if you go with facts, you take on your elements, collect them, write them up, and make a report. If you make a report, it's concluded. Since we don't have the independence of the judiciary, that's what they'll tell you, that all investigation made by ANIF, Agence Nationale d'Investigation Financière, we have CONAC, will be waiting for the order of the President of the Republic. That is why we are sitting where we are sitting.
That's it.
If we were in a state that is functional, the moment an inquiry is complete, you send it to the prosecuting officer. He's going to call up the people in court. Before you see 2, 3, like in Nigeria they call out SARS. SARS just burst into your building and tell you are up. Your time is up. They don't wait for the president to give order. SARS pick you up and take you to court. Answer this before the report. That's when every journalist would know that no, meaning investigation was made. And that these are the various counts. In Cameroon, I'm telling you that there is a need for investigation. Investigation should not even be announced when we are investigating people. If you announce it officially, a lot of elements and facts needed, evidence will be destroyed. That is the type of system where you are informed before being investigated. It doesn't happen anyway. Before they are coming to call you, Facts about you are known. That's why even Donald Trump and many others in refined system, at times they're just surprised at telling them things that happened 10 years ago. Nobody told them that they were on that. But the investigating officers have the facts already with you. By the time you're thinking of these files, Donald Trump was running with files to some private resident. They said those files are the ones we want. Because they know those files contain elements in it. Okay. This is what a system functions.
Yes, of course. Monsieur Soule, you are still not very convinced about the method used by the Garden Post?
Non, je ne suis pas convaincu.
En tant que journaliste.
Ça, c'est en tant que journaliste, c'est pour amuser la galerie. Mais je dis ceci, monsieur Kum. Nous, on peut dire ici et là qu'il y a quelques boulots d'étranglement, d'inertie, qui plombent encore la bonne gestion de ce pays. Oui, mais voilà pourquoi. Moi, je me pose toujours cette question. Vous pensez que tous les greffes que nous dénonçons ici, sur ce plateau, que ces directeurs, ces PCA et ministres ne nous écoutent pas? Mais pourquoi est-ce qu'ils ne peuvent pas faire un introspectif, tu vois, non, et changer complètement et se mettre au travail? Pourquoi est-ce que ça persiste depuis 20 ans, depuis 42 ans de paix? C'est parce que mon champion, durant 42 ans, le Cameroun est resté dans la paix. C'est parce que nous sommes en paix que nous pouvons venir ici, dans ma méga prima, dire ce que nous pensons. Mais nous savons certes qu'il y a quelques Camerounais zélés, tu vois, non, qui ont une autre idée, parce qu'ils voudraient à tous les coups et à tous les prix mettre notre beau Cameroun à feu et à sang. Vous comprenez? C'est de ça qu'il s'agit. Mais il faut dépasser cette manière de réfléchir là. Et je dis, le Cameroun de demain, après 2025, après la grande victoire de mon champion, Paul Biya,
vous avez déjà gagné.
Ne sera pas le Cameroun d'aujourd'hui.
Vous avez gagné déjà, monsieur.
Ne sera pas le Cameroun d'aujourd'hui. Et je le dis encore. Et que le Cameroun de demain se fera toujours avec Paul Biya. Okay. Vous comprenez? Les urnes vont parler en 2025.
Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire avec les suspects liés aux affaires de Covid et AFCON?
Mais qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec les suspects? Du moment où un suspect est déclaré coupable, il doit se retrouver. Est-ce que nous n'avons pas des ministres et de certains directeurs en prison? Monsieur Kum, vous convenez avec moi que nous avons beaucoup de ministres en prison aujourd'hui. Alors, si déjà vous êtes suspecté et que la justice rend son tablier en vous nommant coupable, mais vous êtes obligé d'aller rejoindre les autres de l'autre côté. Vous comprenez? C'est pas moi, c'est la justice dans ce moment-là qui parle. Voilà pourquoi, quand nous disons que mon champion, son excellent Paul Biya, gère ce pays avec la main sur le cœur, donc il faut comprendre beaucoup de choses. Vous comprenez? C'est un homme de paix. D'abord, il a dit qu'il aime le mendiant de la paix. Vous comprenez? Et il a dit une chose. Il a dit une chose encore qui me tient tellement à cœur et que je veux le dire, que lorsque le moment viendra, les Camerounais sont assez mûrs. Ils sauront quoi faire. Donc ce n'est pas maintenant. Quitte à lui maintenant, tu vois, non, dans sa propre liberté, de décider que oui, je ne voudrais plus peut-être être candidat, mais pour le moment, le candidat naturel de notre parti, du Rassemblement démocratique du peuple camerounais, c'est son excellent Paul Biya. Donc, jusqu'à peu de compter, on n'a pas de problème de candidature. Il va représenter le RDPC en 2025. Et voilà pourquoi, tout dans le triangle national, tous les présidents de section, sous-section, sont à pied d'œuvre pour une prochaine victoire. Tu vois, une grande victoire de 2025. Parce que, comme je l'ai dit, le Cameroun de demain se fera toujours avec Paul Biya. Mais ne sera plus le Cameroun d'aujourd'hui. Parce que beaucoup de choses changeront.
Ok, beaucoup de choses changeront. Now, he also wants that they should fire redundant GMs, replace board chairs and GMs whose mandates have expired. Seemingly, almost everybody has been forgotten where they are operating.
It's not like forgotten. They are giving accounts to those who appointed them.
Simple.
Yeah, the same thing which I said here is that the moment you appoint people you don't know, they came in behind some people. That is why when you look at the government of Cameroon today, they are, as I said, they are already in camps because somebody knows that I came through him. And sometime, I equally said that a system where you are ruled by fictitious powers gives accounts not to human beings, but to the powers that made them to be who they are. At one point in this country, at the height of the crisis, we brought some people from France, Freemasonnerie, Grand Père du Malte.
Voilà, c'est là où c'est ce que j'aimerais entendre. Dites la vérité à la population.
Pray for Cameroon. When they came and we were asking whether the crisis would end. But I believe the crisis we have in Cameroon now are more than the crisis in 2016. Cameroonians are unable to eat. That should be honest. The Guardian Post has mentioned it. Persistent rise in prices. A lot of those director generals of public enterprises, anyway, we might not talk equally of some state enterprises like Kamwata and Eneo, because these are the active departments of the state. But then, I don't want to call, like people say, when you call departments, you might already be telling them that they have been too old. But then, they know very well that they are not working. We have agencies that the government appoints, and imagine what it takes us to have a board meeting at SNH. And that the Director General of SNH said there will be no meeting here, and we are still in the same country. I mean, somebody at the President of the Republic tells you that there's need for a board meeting. The same person is the chairman of the board of directors of that same organization. And the GM said nothing will take place here. He even sacked his own secretary. And I mean, in an open road, asked him to step down from the car. And the car was taken off from him. I said, nobody has reacted. This is what we call absolute power corrupts absolutely. They can't do anything. What we ask is, there are things that when you hear about Cameroon, and I'm happy some people call it continent. Remember sometime the Senegalese player called it, it's not even a continent, that is even a hotel. Hotel because everybody does what he wants. Because if Cameroon was a continent really, there are behaviors we don't find in a nation. A GM cannot lack respect for Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, and the state is this quiet. We are just taking it normal. People will tell you that it is the same thing that happened between Fekafoot and the Ministry of Sports, and so we continue ruling by that. It is not you that appointed me. The same decision that appointed you was the same decision that appointed me. So you have no instruction to give me. Where is the accountability part in governance? It will be absent when some people feel more powerful than even the system. Somebody cannot work in a place for 20 years as GM, and we are thinking that something will change. What happens to a broom? That's what we used to say. They say an old broom does what? Sweeps better. The sweeping better in Cameroon is that they manage the finances well. Because if an old broom was sweeping better, the results would have been felt. This is Sonara not producing. Because the person who is the director of that particular enterprise, he will tell you that he renders accounts only to the head of state. So the question people are asking, I asked a question sometime on one TV, what is Sonara doing with the same number of workers? We have not even heard whether there's a reduction of workers at Sonara. But Sonara is not producing. The salaries and the money used to run those heavy cars at Sonara, where is the money coming from? These are the infrastructures or the cost that is laboring the taxpayers' money. The moment a sector is not producing, we close it down.
Simple.
And that is the idea of governance. So that we don't labor taxpayers. When we put, today we are talking of SNDP. They are doing stockage. What are they stocking when we are not producing? They are stocking fuel bought from Europe. So meaning SNDP is simply a magazine where you keep goods. But get there again and see how much money they spend in such enterprises. It is disheartening. It is time for us to accept that the system has failed and needs some repairs. And one of those domains, I don't want to say, we are already getting into negotiation for the next coalition of who should govern Cameroon. Even when Mr. Sule came to announce his candidate here, we are working on that. The next Cameroon will need to strengthen governance by dismissing. In fact, a GM should not have a mandate more than 5 years. A mandate more than 5 years is out of grounds. It should be counted on results. At most, 10 years, meaning 5 years renewable once. And if not, then there's no need for governance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's no need for governance. What aspects did the Guardian Post not raise in their article, which according to you is a hot file that warrants the president's attention?
Good question, Mr. Liu. there is a anti-corruption commission, CONAC. I listened to Barrister Akeremuna once, Batonia Akeremuna, and Akeremuna said he's working on the Glencore affair, and that in the affair, there are 3 persons involved in embezzlement. There is SNH, there is Sonara, and there are top government ministers. And that he was expecting that even after releasing the file, if at all CONAC is an anti-corruption commission, they would have even come to him that you have said that there were government ministers, there is SNH, and there is Sonara. Who are the people? Till today, CONAC has not gone to see him. But it fights anti-corruption. So it tells you that is one of the files that the president should sit on. Another file that the president should sit on is the fact that seemingly, like Barrister Dr. Ako said, there is this aspect of people thinking that they are not accountable to you. We have had situations where the Prime Minister, head of government, has spoken that because of the crisis, the government is willing to talk. But we have had ministers who have gone contrary. It means Prime Minister, head of government speaks, and a minister tells him that no way. Those are some of the files. It means that the head of state should retouch the system. Retouching the system means let a principal in a school, for instance, not think that he is accountable to the person who connected him. The principal should know that you are a principal because there's a minister of secondary education. Good. It's your boss, irrespective of how you join the system. It means that if you're a commander or a commissaire somewhere, you should understand that if you're in the gendarmerie, you have a boss. If you're under the police, you have a boss, irrespective of who brought you. And secondly, Mr. Liu, there's this aspect of the ministers should also understand that irrespective of who you are in a government, you should know your job description. Doctor gave an example. We have a ministry that is in charge of tourism and leisure. It is one of the oldest ministers in this country, in that same position. He has never left that position, but what leisure do we have in Cameroon? What tourism do we have in Cameroon? I attended a seminar that was built on the investigative journalism. The lady came from CNN. The lady told us, I traveled in so many countries, but Cameroon to come is complicated. And in Cameroon, we just make things that are very simple. It's simple. Si, c'est lui l'autorité ici. Si peut-être le cadre arrive, peut-être il est question qu'on te fait le maquillage, et la dame ne te fait pas le maquillage, il est question que le lendemain, elle explique. C'est très simple, c'est pas une affaire. Si tu es commandant, et puis que quand il était question que tu fais comme ça, tu n'es pas fait, il est question que Galax et Toga t'interpellent. C'est très simplement qu'on est les boss. If you have something like Martin Bargangeli was the other day in Mutengene, you are a police commissioner, he is your boss. Because the police and the gendarmerie are 2 different ministries. Yeah. And a B or an army is another ministry. That's another different
police, non.
Le police est derrière qui?
Le DGSN.
C'est ce que je dis. C'est
direct du chef de l'État. C'est
oui.
Lui qui rend
compte à qui?
Tu vois, non?
Oui.
Est-ce
qu'un gendarme et un policier sont les mêmes gens? Est-ce qu'ils ont les mêmes boss?
Tu ne peux pas l'appeler ministre.
Non, est-ce que j'ai dit qu'il est ministre?
Avec rang du ministre, monsieur.
Non,
il y avait rang du ministre.
Please.
Il faut qu'on parle dans les détails.
No, but that's not the fuck I was saying that, Mr. Liu. I was saying, yeah, we're talking about files. I was saying that we should look at this issue of conflict of interest. Because similarly, I give you another example. In Cameroon, we have a Minister of Public Contracts. In Cameroon, we have a Minister of Housing and Urban Development. In Cameroon, we have a Minister of Public Works. At the end of the day, all these people are doing the same thing. Yeah. Because urban development means contracts. Construction is all about Cameroon looking good. But when you have 3 people at the end of the day, when you go and do this, I come and do the same thing, we start having interest. Let the President of the Republic reduce his interest.
Cut down
this interest. Simple. Because there are ministries in Cameroon. You have small and medium-sized enterprises. You have trade. If you have a small business, you know, street, où c'est pas ça? Il y a un ministre de petites et moyennes entreprises et il y a un ministre du commerce. Donc à la fin, donc, si tu as une petite entreprise, c'est qui ton boss?
Celui du commerce et celui petit.
Où c'est pas ça? Il est question que le ministre, que le président diminue les pouvoirs de certains gens.
La charge de l'État.
Oui, puisque à la fin, c'est nous qui payons. C'est ton argent et c'est mon argent. Un pays est géré par les impôts. C'est pas le président ne prend pas l'argent ailleurs, c'est nos impôts. Donc, qu'est-ce qu'on fait? À l'époque, bon, tu es un aîné, en regardant même tes cheveux, tu es un aîné. On avait une ministre de l'éducation nationale dans ces pays. Ou c'est pas ça? Mais aujourd'hui, est-ce que tu peux compter les ministres qui sont chargés de l'éducation?
No, you are not asking the question. Just answer.
I answer that we should reduce.
Yeah, but just make your point. You are asking him, what do you want him to say?
That's my answer then.
What do you want him to say?
C'est dans ce contexte que j'allais lui dire que nous n'allons pas sortir de l'auberge. Simplement, quand je le vois avec beaucoup de passion et d'enthousiasme dire ce qu'il dit là, c'est pour juste
manipuler.
Oui, mais au-delà de ce qui a été présenté comme les dossiers brûlants que le président de la République devrait se pencher sur, qu'est-ce que, d'après vous, le gardien poste n'a pas touché?
Merci.
Que pour vous, c'est très important que le président touche?
Oui, vous savez, en tant que communicant, nous avons aussi des problèmes.
Ok.
J'ai énuméré le 8e point sur lequel nous sommes tous tombés d'accord sur ce plateau. J'ai dit que ce point méritait, tu vois, d'avoir beaucoup de considération et d'attention. Mais malheureusement, ce n'est pas de l'apanage des uns et des autres sur ce plateau. Simplement parce que vous avez déjà une autre fixation. Parce que quand vous avez des fixations, ça ne peut pas vous laisser entreprendre, tu vois, non, l'avenir. Quand j'ai dit ça, je me rends tout simplement à la recommandation de ce que l'État a dit en respectant les lois de mon pays. Parce que quand vous organisez ce que Prince a dit tout à l'heure, les conflits d'intérêts, c'est ça qui garde la tête de plusieurs Camerounais dans ce pays. Ils veulent toujours entendre et voir là où on parle argent. Mais c'est ça qui garde ce pays. Vous comprenez? Il y a des sujets encore plus importants. Comme l'eau, comme l'électricité. Et d'ailleurs, en ce qui concerne l'eau, vous comprenez? Mon champion a donné beaucoup d'instructions là-dessus. Et beaucoup de choses, à ce jour, sont en train d'être faites. Et même sur les routes, M. Prince, actuellement, où je vous parle, beaucoup de choses sont en train de s'implémenter sur le terrain. Allez-y tout simplement voir.
À quel niveau?
Voyez-vous, vous avez pris les propos du délégué à la sécurité nationale de la police et tellement que vous en parlez, ça fait un buzz. Il a fait un constat. Il a dit qu'on devait voir et en tenir compte et laisser passer parce que les sujets plus importants et plus brûlants qu'a voulu nous proposer ce matin de garder un poste sont devant nous. J'ai cité un exemple, l'eau, il y a l'électricité, il y a le panier de la ménagère, parce que
il y a la connexion.
Il y a le logement. De nos cités, parce que nous aimerons que quand nous sortons, que nous marchons sur de bonnes routes, que nous revenons, on a un bon salaire, etc., etc. Mais qu'est-ce qui se passe? La mentalité. La mentalité. Vous avez parlé de la corruption. La corruption là. Si l'État pouvait sortir un jour dire que la corruption est l'apanage de la population. Parce que c'est nous qui allons vers eux fait un certain nombre de propositions. Et je vais même aller loin pour vous dire que ces ministres-là, que vous pensez beaucoup, qu'ils sont d'ailleurs étiquetés qu'ils sont du Rassemblement démocratique camerounais.
Donc c'est les membres de...
Traite beaucoup plus avec les membres de l'opposition. Et quand vous venez sur ce plateau, vous dites, on vous connaît.
Je ne savais pas.
J'ai dit, on vous connaît.
Il y a les ministres qui sont les opposants.
Non, je ne sais pas ce que j'ai dit.
Qui traitent avec les opposants.
Mais vous traitez. Et quand c'est pour ça que j'ai dit de leur dire la vérité, j'ai dit au docteur, dites-leur la vérité. Parce que quand vous partez, vous avez rendez-vous avec un ministre, au lieu de lui dire que non, ceci n'est pas bien et que vous devez faire, non, vous êtes venu parce que vous attendez les prébames.
Bon. Je ne comprends pas, c'est le gros
français. On ne va pas rentrer au quartier.
C'est le gros français, je ne comprends pas.
Je vais parler en langage vernaculaire comme au quartier. Oui, Choco. Tu comprends? C'est ce que vous attendez. Vous ne dites pas la vérité. Bon, et par la suite, vous revenez pour dire que le champion, c'est lui le problème. Où et depuis quand?
Donc, comme nous sommes en train de faire l'élection en États-Unis d'Amérique, là, et que Donald Trump attaque sur Kamala Harris, parce qu'il était vice-président du président actuel. Donc, la faute, quand on met sur Harris, c'est pas Harris, c'est les Américains.
Non, non, suivez. Quand il dit Harris, Harris n'a pas le pouvoir. Vous comprenez?
Okay, but I want us to look away from what the Guardian Post raised. Cameroon faces several pressing issues that have significant social, economic, and political implications. We have we have the Anglophone crisis, we have corruption, we have human rights violation, economic challenges. Yes, we have just barely 20 minutes to go. Yeah, what, according to you, can the president do as we speak with respect to tackling the Anglophone crisis above what has been done so far?
Yeah, you know, the Anglophone crisis has become a, how can I say, it's a thorn. And many others. Behind the Anglophone crisis, there have been a lot of consequences on Cameroon. A lot of Cameroonians are not even aware that today the Northwest and the Southwest, some people don't pay light, they don't pay water, that they even transport fares otherwise. It is the lone region with the most expensive form of transport fare. I pay 3,000 from Rond-Point, Daido to Biya. 3,000 francs in a distance of less than 100.
A distance that used to be, Mr. Luke can confirm, less than 1,000.
Good. And that you pay 12,000 from Douala to Manfi. I used to have 7,000 would take me to Manfi. And so all those aspects of it add to the volume of the cost of life. Some time ago, we used to buy 7 bananas for 100 because CDC was at the optimum of production. Today, there's no banana at CDC. And we have felt what banana has become today in Cameroon. Get to the market, you realize that they almost sell you a banana for 100 now in Douala. One banana can be sold for 100. Which means somewhere, if you have to tackle the Anglophone crisis, one of it we have said, the coming of an Anglophone as a president might become as a panacea to handle Anglophone problems. A lot of people have equally believed that 70 years after the New Deal and the CNU, it is time for an Anglophone to rise to the big office so that we see what governance they will propose. Because the Anglophone crisis was everywhere, was a governance problem. Government created a marginalization of the English language educational system. The lawyers or the judicial system was a governance problem. Putting an Anglophone at the 2D might offer a step ahead in the right direction and to others. And what it is, there is a need for a sincere dialogue where government will come down from its high horses and believe that we are talking to our brothers. We are still to see that aspect in governance. There's a lot of arrogance in this particular government. If there's something we have not mentioned, a minister asks others, il y avait quoi avant? That was in open air. And it has gone untreated. It's like nothing happened. You cannot.
Who lives as a mayor, as a minister?
Yes. You said something here.
As a mayor.
That he was evaluated at what he did as a mayor.
Yes.
Before called over as a minister.
Yes.
But today, he asks, and when you see the way he's talking to parents of people, she speaks with that arrogance that you see that she's at the high horse.
Of course.
But I saw Nelson Mandela sat in the field to celebrate the Springboks winning of the Rugby World Cup in South Africa.
Paul Kagame goes to the market.
I saw Thabo Mbeki visit the mother in the kitchen, sat with the mother while the mother was pounding fufu. We went to Europe and America. Barack Obama launches calls at random and picks a woman who is at a boutique. Do you know who is on call? I said, no, sir. This is the president of the United States, Barack Obama. And the woman was finished. Mr. President is calling me. Do you know how people feel of just those little gestures in governance? Is that you want to feel, when you saw what Gelate it tells us that they are hiding somewhere, and so hardly do they feel the problems of the people.
Of course.
And for the first time, he went through the course of the people, where people go every day. We saw the results. That is that young man in Gabon, Oligi Ngema, who said, no more holidays abroad. If you are a minister, go to your village and pass the holidays. If all the ministers of Anglophone elites were spending time in their villages, they would have been given the right reports. So the work of the elites, the scheme of division going on northwest, southwest, it's promoted by the political elites. And some people are sitting high on it because it is on it that they are eating.
Okay.
But some time ago, you asked a question, let me talk. No. I'm just begging.
We have
that there is a need for the elites of these two regions to go sober, to honor their people, because it is by the mandate given by those people that they are where they are. You cannot sit in Yaoundé and take decision for people who are in Camden or people who are in Manti. Get to Manti. Know that somewhere there's a forest, and somewhere there's no water or there's no road, and they need light, and we can do more. Let us not wait on the eve of election to bring budget, fish, gari, and rice to win a vote.
Okay, away from the aspects raised by the Garden Post, corruption is widespread and undermines governance and public trust, affecting economic development and the delivery of essential services. What else can the President of the Republic do in this direction? Giving more powers to CONAC?
That's what I said. I said it before now. That I watched Batonia Akeremuna in an interview he said he followed Glencore case. And he said in his investigations, SNH, Sonara and top government officers are involved in the case. Instead of CONAC to go and be investigating Dr. Ako, they should just tell him that, okay, you said this. Because even in journalism, what you say, you should be accountable for it. And that's why as a journalist, you can be sued just like you can sue another person. Simply tell barrister that you as a lawyer, if you said that there are ministers, who are the ministers? That's it. That's the first thing of corruption. Secondly, Batonier said, I'm not advocating for him. Because in the last program we did that, you see the man for the job, I got feedback, people who called, oh, you were making campaigns for now. He said he was with Thabo Mbeki, South Africa president. He said he moved with Thabo Mbeki, and Thabo Mbeki said, these are my mines that they come and exploit. In Cameroon, it's if you go and even book audience to see a Dio or even a commander, if you are not related, mama and leave it, they will not give you. But that's a president saying, these are mines in my country that people come and the whites come and exploit. So I think that the corruption issue we have in Cameroon, Mr. Leo, is an issue of some people who think they are untouchable. It's an issue of being untouchable.
Yeah, how do we tackle it?
How do we tackle it? It's reducing their feathers.
How?
Telling them that there is a president and this is your job description. There is the Minister of Justice, this is job description. There is the President of the Constitutional Council, this is your job description.
Is it also empowering the judiciary?
Empower the judicial.
Mr. Leonard,
there's a Constitutional Council.
If this regime is failing, is the absolute power of the executive. Imagine, there's something we said here. There's an aspect in the constitution of private member bills.
Yeah, but we have the legislative, we have the judiciary.
No, what I'm telling you, no. The president of the republic is the chief magistrate.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, that the executive have absolute power. When you go to the Senate, he has appointed some members.
Correct.
And the president of the Senate is an appointed official of the president.
Just 30 of them.
Yeah, no, that is what we are saying. When you appoint 30 and you dictate the president of that house, you dictate the rules. If we have in Cameroon like in the UK or in the American system, like I just said here, once there's an allegation, let the person in charge in that domain, the state prosecutor, opens an investigation. That's what we call independence of the judiciary.
Does the fact that the president appoints you stop you from doing your job?
Yeah, there are facts. I'm telling you, we are here, me and you. He said here, people whose decision is waiting by the presidential decision, either they should be released or to be condemned, or the investigation should go on.
These are speculations.
No, not speculation. We are saying this is what is done. No, he is a chief magistrate.
Where is it written? Where is it
I
written
said
that
the president of the republic is the higher magistrate. That's the law.
No, but
please,
the constitution does not say that for the judiciary to take a decision, they have to wait for.
There is no place, but the fact that the constitution made him mention as a chief magistrate, he has the overall decision. That's why it's normal. It's like we talk of, like he said here, that he is the head of the armed forces. The delegate general of national security is simply answerable to the president of the republic when it comes to security issues. He takes the highest decision in security. That's what we're saying. If we empower the legislative, I will tell you, people talk of independence of the judiciary, they don't know how far it goes. Give an everlasting mandate to judges. Ask a judge not to be promoted by the president, but by the council of judges.
Correct.
Ask them to promote. That's what happened in English nations. In Nigeria, no minister, no president appoints or promote or demotes. They are being elected or put over by a council.
Even governors are elected.
So there are a lot of things. Let me come on, Mr.
Nigeria governors
give them a lifetime mandate. Yes, I want to give them a lifetime mandate and ask them that they are not. Once a minister, a judge resign under manipulation, such people that cause such manipulation should go in for the law. Okay. There is Article 66. You're asking Article 66 on declaration of assets. Join CONAP and ANIF put together, create that commission. Declaration of assets before and after leaving office of top officials. You were appointed a minister. Your child is Alice General Leclerc. The moment becoming a minister, the whole family is now in UK.
In Enam?
No, I don't talk about Enam. Others are in France with the whole cortege. Your children have a private driver in France. You are in Cameroon. There are just signs. You are living in Cartier, I don't call. Somebody said there were no potholes in Yaoundé, and he was doubting where others are living. Because ministers have a new quarter where they live. We should be careful of knowing where you are living and where you are living now after leaving ministerial position. That is the work of the commission previewed by Article 66, declaration of assets before and after leaving office. Let's empower and create such a commission.
Okay. Monsieur Soulé, votre regard sur l'éducation et la santé, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire de plus?
Monsieur Kum,
oui.
Avant de venir, je vais dire un mot sur ce qu'il a dit. Nous ne regardons plus dans la même direction.
Oui.
Voyez-vous, des gens qui lisent non seulement dans la boule de cristal, qui s'ingrugent du jujube, ont une autre vision du Cameroun que nous voulons. Le Cameroun, le grand destin qui attend le Cameroun de demain.
2035.
Et je vous dis, docteur, que notre Cameroun est possible, mais avec Paul Biya.
Toujours avec lui.
Vous comprenez? Ce que vous dites là.
Donc après 42 ans.
Ce que vous mijotez.
Donc après 40 ans.
Vous pensez des choses qui ne sont pas faisables.
Comment ça? Qu'on ne peut pas.
Je vous donne un exemple. Il y a quelques semaines, on nous a parlé de 45 jours. Qu'après 45 jours, il faut constater la vacance. Mais est-ce que cela est écrit dans la constitution du Cameroun? Vous étiez là dans un autre registre.
N'est-ce pas?
Vous étiez dans le registre de l'ancien gouvernement, de Amadou Ahidjo. Actuellement, nulle part dans la constitution cela n'y est écrit.
Et ça t'arrange. C'est bien.
Cela n'y est écrit.
Je dis,
vous voyez que votre vision ne nous aide pas à faire avancer le Cameroun.
The practice is good. That the head of state lives out of the country for more than a month. It's okay.
Docteur, vous permettez?
Non, je te demande d'abord, non.
J'ai la parole, non?
Ouais. J'ai la parole. Une question, je t'ai pas posé
j'ai la parole.
Tout le temps que
je dis que votre vision, avec la vision de l'ensemble et de la majorité des Camerounais, n'est pas conforme. Je voudrais que le docteur commence déjà pas accepter, pas se réapproprier des textes de loi de ce pays en les acceptant. Ne serait-ce qu'à partir de ce moment-là, vous comprenez
Le Cameroun, c'est pas
que
moi.
vous seriez fiers d'être Camerounais. Vous comprenez? Acceptez ce que la loi a dit. Respectez les dispositions de la Constitution. Et vous verrez que tout sera facile. Mais ici, quand quelque chose ne nous intéresse pas ou ne nous plaît pas, nous essayons d'organiser autour de cela, je ne sais pas, un scénario. Et très souvent, ce scénario, c'est dans le cadre de la manipulation des consciences. Et ce qui n'est pas faisable aujourd'hui. Voilà pourquoi je vous dis que le Cameroun de demain se fera avec Paul Biya, mais ne sera pas dans les mêmes dispositions de ce que les uns et les autres pensent aujourd'hui. Je reviens à l'éducation. Il y avait l'éducation et
la santé.
Et la santé. Vous savez, dans la mentalité ou dans la cosmogonie des Camerounais aujourd'hui, il suffit que, comme nous sommes sur ce plateau, je sors, je lance ça quelque part, j'envoie à 2-3 personnes. Ils vont dire que, ah, Souley allait faire un montage. Tout de suite là, ça sera un montage. Alors que, dans le journalisme, les faits sont sacrés, n'est-ce pas?
C'est clair.
Les faits sont sacrés. Et les commentaires libres. Vous comprenez? Mais c'est dans le système anglo-saxon que les commentaires ne sont pas libres. Ça, tu le sais bien. Mais dans le système francophone, tu vois, on laisse quand même une marge. Et c'est là où tout se biaise. C'est pour cela que quand je reviens même dans l'histoire de notre pays, quand je reviens même dans l'histoire de notre pays, vous voyez, il y a aujourd'hui une commission de réécriture de l'histoire. Tout simplement parce que les gens comme docteur ont manipulé, ont instrumentalisé avec des idées. On essaie d'où ça va nous prendre cela. Vous comprenez? Donc, c'est ça. Commençons d'abord par nous réapproprier notre histoire, notre culture, et vous verrez que acceptons la Constitution et tout cela.
Est-ce qu'il faut faire dans the aspect of education in Cameroun?
Dans l'aspect de
la santé, ça va.
Suivez. Aujourd'hui, nous pensons que nous sommes tellement éduqués. Parce que, avec la latitude que nous avons dans le cadre de ce débat républicain, où chacun...
La création des universités dans toutes les régions.
Voilà. Vous voyez, aujourd'hui, nous sommes libres. Et même, mon champion l'a toujours dit. Il a dit avant que personne ne doit entrer dans le maquis pour exprimer son opinion. Vous voyez? Et c'est ça qui nous permet aujourd'hui. Mais les uns et les autres voudraient qu'il aille.
Monsieur Souley,
oui.
Est-ce que vous répondez vraiment à ma question?
Je réponds à votre question.
Tu es venu faire passer le message de ton champion.
Vous avez parlé de l'éducation. On ne peut pas être éduqué sans toutefois énumérer tout ce que je dis là. Et c'est après que l'éducation maintenant intervient. Donc, si nous ne changeons pas de mentalité, comment voulez-vous que nous ayons une très bonne éducation? Ça ne peut pas. Puisque je vais vous donner un exemple il suffit que je fais un truc là qui est vrai par contre, mais tout de suite, il y aura 1 million de personnes dehors qui vont nous dire que c'est un montage. Là, tu es d'accord avec moi. Comme je suis un homme de médias. Pendant de longues années, tu as travaillé tu maîtrises quand même ce domaine. Donc, dans le cadre de la santé que vous dites, dans le oui, on a des bons techniciens.
Si je peux répondre un peu à M. Souley, parce que M. Koumta a posé une question. Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose qu'on peut faire dans l'éducation?
Et la santé.
Mais il y a beaucoup qu'on peut faire dans l'éducation.
Non, tu n'as pas encore cité.
Non, je dis
tu as passé le message de ton champion. On a bien souri. Oui. Dès le début. C'est le même personne qui est en train. Donc tu es venu ici pour parler seulement
de son champion. On a compris.
Au lieu d'éduquer les Camerounais. Nous sommes en train de parler aujourd'hui d'un système de STEM. Je ne sais pas si tu comprenais STEM. Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics.
Là, je comprends.
Ok, maintenant, c'est que je veux t'éduquer alors maintenant. Qu'il faut dire à votre champion que là où on apprenait seulement de lire la littérature, l'histoire, comme tu parlais d'histoire, la fin nous fait derrière. On veut les gens qui
pourquoi est-ce qu'il y a eu cette commission? C'est parce qu'on s'est rendu compte qu'il y a des choses qui ne sont pas...
Je dis, tu as parlé d'histoire. C'est que moi, je dis que moi, avec M. Koum, on dit qu'on doit dépasser ce niveau d'histoire. apprenez les Camerounais la pratique. Quand ils sortent de l'école, ils sont capables de générer et faire pour eux. Qu'on ne parle plus de l'histoire du Cameroun. Même l'affaire de Foncha et Impile nous concerne même plus, ça ne nous sert plus à rien. C'est que nous sommes, qu'on passe au-delà de ça. Que tu sors de l'école, tu es dans les affaires, tu sors de l'école, tu parles déjà de la santé. Il ne faut pas qu'on te fasse écrire ou les insectes, on te parle des différents feux, ou le président des États-Unis d'Amérique ou de la Chine. Ne nous aidez à rien. Apprenez-vous de votre chef de village. Ce qu'on est en train de parler d'éducation, l'innovation dans l'éducation. Le business, le monde de l'entrepreneuriat, c'est que nous sommes en train de parler.
Je vais encore ajouter un exemple. Monsieur Prince, voyez-vous, nos chefs de quartier, ils sont là. Il y a des chefs de bloc incompétents. Vous pensez qu'ils ne peuvent pas les débouter, les enlever?
C'est question d'éducation, toujours.
C'est question d'éducation. Pourquoi alors cette mentalité-là persiste toujours?
On dit
à journalisme que les vieilles d'habitude ont la peau dure.
Oui.
Pourquoi ça ne peut pas changer?
Okay, please, we are out of time. You have just 1 minute.
On education. Monsieur,
oui.
like Doctor said, in education first. When I watched that PhD holders were on strike in front of the Prime Minister's office for a job, I asked myself, what will a mama who is selling tomatoes in the market do with her child who has first school? The mama will simply say, come accompany me in the market, because si quelqu'un va fréquenter jusqu'à avoir un docteur, il est docteur. Puisqu'on dit, dès que tu as le PhD, tu es un docteur, c'est pour dire que tu as fini l'école. Si tu, après ça, tu pars devant avec les plaques, devant le bureau du Premier ministre, pour demander que vous cherchez le travail à problème, comme disait Doc. Il est question que notre système éducatif, j'étais avec quelqu'un qui est directeur dans une école, il m'a dit, lui-même il est directeur, mais il fait seulement un petit commerce. Puisque la question qu'on doit faire, revoir notre système. On a les gens aujourd'hui, permettez de dire, ils ont les masters, qu'ils ont même les PhD dans une profession qui ne peuvent même pas rédiger une lettre.
Tout à fait.
Hein? C'est pour dire que le système a un problème. Alors que nous, quand on fréquentait, even in the primary school, they were telling us, this is Mr. Nzi planted corn, this is a Goda head de corn, this is a Dagada, this is... Jusqu'aujourd'hui, je connais.
J'aimerais te voir à l'épreuve de l'autorité, du pouvoir et de la gestion.
Ton champion va m'en laisser aller.
Thank you.
Okay, unfortunately, we have to end at this juncture. Dr. John Ako, lecturer and core member of Cameroon's civil society. They are mobilizing, calling on Cameroonians. They recently launched a project to keep Cameroon clean. It was launched in Douala, where they moved to some sites, some dumping sites, and we're cleaning and educating Cameroonians. Thank you very much for coming, Doctor.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine, always. It's a pleasure on my Media Prime television when issues concerning Cameroon are raised.
And to you, Prince Joel, thank you for coming.
It's always an honor being on board, Mr. Liu. We, because of time constraint, the roads are deplorable, like we were discussing the other day. Bonaberi, Bonamusadi takes us no less than 2 hours. I had to do everything to honor your invitation. And we have understood the system we have. When you have a colleague that is a journalist who comes on a media platform like this, and all his questions you ask him, he dodges. Whereas his ethics and deontology, he keeps saying, mon champion. Mon champion.
Yeah, but he's on this platform on the political parties.
But as a journalist,
he did not come here as a journalist. Okay. I invited you
as a journalist. Oh, okay. I did not know. Okay, tu es venu comme communicant du RDPC, pas comme journaliste. Oh, je ne savais pas.
He came here as a militant of the CPDM party.
All right.
Yes,
no, Mr. Liu, I'm honored to have been on your platform, and it's a privilege to have shared with Monsieur Soule and Dr. Ako. I'm sending special greetings to all the people of Mr. J subdivision, the land of Milk and Honey. Of course, lots of them are watching the program now.
Okay, Mr. Soule, thank you for coming.
Oui, c'est un plaisir pour moi d'être sur votre plateau et de partager avec les Camerounais. Et je ne veux pas toujours oublier les militants parce que vous savez, nous sommes ceux qui vivent et nous préparons avec beaucoup d'ardeur. Et c'est pas sur un plateau de télé où je venais étaler, ne serait-ce que les stratégies que nous sommes en train de concocter pour les prochaines grandes victoires du Rassemblement démocratique du peuple camerounais à travers son président, son excellent Biya en 2025. Et en 2025, les urnes vont parler.
Okay. We want to thank the
Merci.
production team, Eli and Desmond, and to all of you who took time off to watch tonight's edition of Prime Hour. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.